Hello and welcome to Gun Dog Nation. This is Kenneth DeWitt coming to you from Texas, and I want you to know that Gun Dog Nation is much more than a podcast. It's a movement to unite those who love to watch a well-trained dog do what it was bred to do. We are also here to encourage youth to get involved in the sport of gun dogs, whether it's hunting, sport, or competition. I want to build a community of people united to preserve our heritage of gun dog ownership and to be better gun dog owners. Stay tuned to each episode to learn more about training, dog health, wellness, and nutrition from expert trainers, breeders, and veterinarians. Be sure to go on our website, www.gundognation.net, and join our email list. You will receive newsletters from trainers and vets and breeders that will also help you being a better gun dog owner. And be sure to listen to some of our supporters, Mo Pitney, who is a very good country musician and bluegrass musician. He has a bluegrass project called Pitney Myers, and he's getting ready to come out with a new album on Curb Records, so stay tuned. Also, the music provided on our show is from Sean Brock, originally from Harlan, Kentucky, just across the mountain from me. He did all the music that you hear on our introduction and our outro for the show. Played all the instruments except for Scott Vessel on the banjo and Jerry Douglas on the dobro. Check them out. Thank you for listening. Hello, this is Kenneth Witt with Gun Dog Nation. Many people quickly become frustrated and confused when training the retriever. Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy's online courses eliminate all the guesswork by giving you a proven training system that will help you train a dog that anyone would be proud to have in their blind. Learn where to start, what to do next, and what to do when problems arise. Visit cornerstonegundogacademy.com to learn how you can train your retriever. I have used this method myself. I have been through it a couple times with different dogs. I refer back to it lots of times when I'm trying to get dogs freshened back up for hunt test season. I highly recommend them. I have actually been a subscribed member of Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy since 2016, and I would suggest anyone use it. I highly recommend it. They have an app that you can get to on your phone. You can do it from your phone, your laptop. You can't get any more convenient than that. I've used it. It's proven and tried, and I know literally hundreds of people that have done the same thing that I've talked to. Visit cornerstonegundogacademy.com and learn how to train your own retriever. Hey, good afternoon. It's Kenneth Witt coming to you today from Midland, Texas, and it's This is another episode of Gun Dog Nation. I don't know what number it is now. I've lost count. So today we're going to do, all you guys know, I try to have stuff that involves gun dogs, right? I don't just have one particular breed. We talk about all hunting dog breeds. But also today we're going to diversify out a little bit more, and something that I was really heavy into a few years ago and still enjoyed. I just don't get involved in I've never been involved in the competition, but we're going to talk today about shed dogs, antler shed hunting. And it's a really neat, fun thing to do. And I've got a guy that probably knows more about it than anybody here from Canada, from Ontario, Mr. Ben Ledger. Hey, Ben, welcome.
Well, thank you, Ken. I'm happy to be here.
Now, Ben, you have, first of all, let's start from the top. You are involved in an organization that's a club for antler shed hunting, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So I'm involved.
What's the name of that?
So the club side of things is Georgian Bay Shed Dogs. It was the first dedicated shed dog club in Canada that we started. It's a non-for-profit club. And then on the business side of things, I also run Canadian Antler Dogs, which is how we sell the scent over here and how we've developed our online training program and put it out to the public.
Okay, so that's right. You guys actually have an online training program.
Correct. Yeah, it's more of a community and then set up with all sorts of videos, sequential videos, basically how to train a shed dog from basic to intermediate to advanced, whether it's for recreation or competitions or trials. So we've got couple categories in there, community, a private community within that as well. And then we've been doing some live Zoom calls too for members.
Now, when I started shed hunting, probably a year after you did, we talked about that earlier before we got on air. I think I started around the end of 2013. At that time, Ben, and you started about a year before me, I think.
Yep.
To my knowledge, there was no titles in the UKC or AKC or any kind of real competitions in shed dog hunting. Is that about right?
As far as I know, I think so. I didn't start looking into competitions until about 2020. Myself, I was trying to train a recreational shed dog in 2012 when I first started. I believe NASHDA, which was North American Shed Hunting Dog Association, came upon shortly after that or around that time, but I did not compete in those, so I'm not sure. So I competed at UKC when I got into them around 2020. But the UKC Elite Shed Dog Series, I think, came into effect around 2017.
Okay.
So fairly new sport.
Okay. And what are the title levels in the UKC for that sport?
So you've got two classes. You've got the working class and the champion class. And as for titles, you've got a working title, champion title. You've got a grand champion title, which you can get repeats of. So you can get grand champion 2. It's points based in that case. You've got elite shed dog. So elite shed dog would be 3 wins, so first places, after you got your champion shed dog title, which kind of played against me. I've actually have one of my dogs. We have 4 wins in the champion class right now, but 2 of those wins were before he achieved his champion title, so they don't count towards elite shed dog. So we're still 1 away with that dog.
Okay.
And then you've got Hall of Fame as well. So Hall of Fame is elite title and 1,000 points.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of. So how many passes do you have to reach a title? Like, in HRC and AKC, you need 4 passes at a hunt test normally to have a title.
So so let's back up a little bit. In working class, you need 5 passes. It's a pass or fail. 5 passes will get you your working title.
Okay.
In champion class, it depends if you're getting any podiums. So first place is 35 points. Second place, 30. Third place will be 25. Fourth place is 20 points. And then a pass, but no podiums, is 10 points. So if you're just getting 5th to last, but you're passing, it would take 10 passes to get your champion title. If you have some podiums, then it would take less time. So it would take less time to achieve grand champion and all that if you're hitting the podium because you're getting more points.
Wow. Now, you mentioned earlier you do HRC as well, right?
Yeah, I do a little bit of HRC with my dog, nothing high level or anything like that. I'm the president of our local HRC club here, Georgian Bay HRC. And I do actually, I call my dog the season lifer. So I've got a season title on my dog, on one of our dogs. And I always marshal and do test dog as the season stake. So I volunteer and I do the marshal and I do the test dog at the season stake with my dog. I'm not sure if I'm going to run him in finished or not. I probably could give it a shot. But he doesn't like tests very much.
So being that you're in Ontario, Canada, you do a lot of competing in the States, correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So we do, we have our club here in Ontario that does a 3-day shed event. So Georgian Bay Shed Dogs every spring. And there's 2 other clubs now in Ontario and one more that's shaping up to start this year as well. But then we travel to Michigan. We go to Shed Dog Nationals in Illinois every year at the end of March. So we go there. It's a really good time. Kids love it too. One thing when we go to when we talk about titles and classes and all that, there's a youth class as well in the UKC Elite Shed Dog Series. So the kids are running under the working series rules, and they get ribbons and all that, and they run at nationals as well. At nationals, they have a scholarship for the top 4 kids. So it's a really, really good thing that a bunch of people involved in the Elite Shed Dog Series get together, raise money through the year, and make that happen for the kids. So that's one of the greatest part about it. It's just money towards schooling. Yeah.
Wow.
So they cut the kids a check for school. Yeah. So we have
So
a
there's actually
scholarship
a Shed
fund.
Dog National. I was not aware of that.
There is, yeah. And that's talking about titles. There is a national champion title as well. So whoever wins in champion class and nationals, they get that added to their name in the UKC.
Wow. Um, do you see, obviously since you and I have started, it's grown, but what do you see currently trending in the popularity of the sport of antler shed hunting?
So we see a lot of different things. What I'm seeing a lot is a lot of people with retriever breeds or working breeds in general. It doesn't necessarily have to be a gun dog. Um, are looking into another sport that is not agility or scent work, and where they don't have to touch a dead duck or shoot a gun, right? Like in HRC. So we're getting a lot of crossover. People are coming over from the agility, obedience, scent work world and participating in those outdoors type of trials. And then after they get hooked or their dogs get a title, they actually want to go out in the wild and find some now. So it's a very accessible sport. Sometimes I call it a glorified walk. You just never know when your dog's going to bring you one back, right? Um, but I think it's gaining popularity in that sense that it's not only hunters doing it now. Just shed hunting in general is just more and more popular. And we can see that with all the rules being implemented across the states and stuff. There's a lot more people doing it now.
To me, I always considered it like a treasure hunt, right? Uh, and one of the things that I learned, Ben, is a lot of my shed hunting. I've done shed hunting in Texas and high fence ranches. It's kind of really easy, but I've hunted a lot in southern Appalachia, and southeast Kentucky where I'm from, and it was tough. I mean, we would walk. I've walked dogs for a couple of hours in the mountains there and not find anything, and that's very common. What do you and you and I both know fooling with dogs all of our lives, like we'll get into that with you too, but what do you do to keep a dog's drive? Because when they get bored and they're not getting to, it's just like a retrieve. They never get that retrieve. What do you do to keep the dog's interest and making it fun and keeping them excited about shed hunting?
So what I do, and I can echo that being from Ontario, for people that aren't familiar with Ontario, we don't have a big deer population and sheds everywhere and all that. I also think that people have a misconception because you have a shed dog, you'll find more, but you'll find more because you'll head out more and yeah, the dogs are covering more ground, but they still have to be there in order to find them. Um, but to keep the dogs drive, what I do, especially that I do trials with our dogs, and we talk about that in our program, is I don't give them a hunt command when I get out of the truck. I've seen that more often than not actually destroy the dog's confidence, because now you're walking for 4, 6, maybe even 8 hours, whatever, and you're telling the dog to find something that's not there. They're not going to get rewarded. They're going to get deflated. And it can really destroy. I've seen good dogs actually get pretty uninterested in the sport after that, just because they're not getting rewarded. So what I do myself is at the truck, I'll make the dog hold an antler on the tailgate, and then I throw it for them. They retrieve it, they bring it back. I put it back in the truck, and I'm just going for a walk. And I find the dogs they're not hunting as hard as they would in a trial, but you got to think about it in a trial. And I want that 2-minute time or 3-minute time for 5 antlers within a football field area. So I want my dog to hunt hard, hard, hard. So if I give them that hunt command, they're going to burn out right away. And then if they don't find anything, they may get deflated and stuff, and lose confidence. So, yeah, we've done that and we've had no issues with it at all. Occasionally I'll carry one in my backpack as well and dump it and make sure the dog's successful, get downwind from it, whatnot, so that the dog finds success. But I normally, unless I can see an antler, I will not give them a hunt command.
Something, I did the opposite, and I now you've changed my perspective. I agree with what you're saying. I would always say, find it, find it, find it. I'm sure I said that more than they cared to listen to. And
Yeah.
when you're doing that for hours, yeah, they probably didn't like hearing it, and I got tired of saying it. but yeah, I like that. I like that advice. I like that training tip. You know, and I did what you did. I always kept one in my. I always wear cargo pants, like old military pants or something, and I always kept a shed in my pocket to throw. And sometimes I even, when I first started with pups, I'd even keep it in a plastic bag, zipped up in case they might smell it. I'm going to ask a question. Just when I was training, and I may be so off base that I'm way wrong, but I would always try being, when shed season was going on, like when deer were shedding, I would really watch that, like religiously. And then I would start going out trying to find the freshest sheds I could find. When I found one, I mean, some even like a little bit of blood on it because it's so fresh, I'd take plastic wrap, put over the end of it, save it, especially with a pup, and I'd let a pup just smell it and lick it. And it seemed to get excited and go crazy. And maybe you and I may have had this conversation once, but does that scent go away? Then it just smells like a bone. Tell me about that. What was I doing the right thing? I mean, I don't even know. I was just trying to use my hillbilly logic,
And when you told me that, I said I was going to try it. So if I do get a really, really fresh shed, I am going to try it because you're just preserving that scent at that time. I think they always smell like something.
Okay.
Whether it gets marked by a coyote or squirrels or mice chew on it. There's always a little bit of hair as well. I think there's always a smell on them, to them anyways. But like my dogs have found old ones as well by sight.
Yes.
So we teach them to hunt with their eyes as well. But I definitely do want to try that tip with the wrapping it. But our issue here is that we don't shed hunt till the snow's gone normally because we've got a couple feet of snow when they're shedding. And we don't want to bother them in the winter as well because that's when they're trying to survive here. So that might be the only issue with me getting a fresh one and putting a bag on it.
And I don't claim to be this expert trainer by any stretch of the imagination, but I can tell this. I watched I had a lab pup that I bought at the time. I think I'm pretty sure it came from Southern Oak Kennels. And, they don't breed shed dogs. That's not, they don't, Barton Ramsey tell you that's not even his thing.
Right.
But that's where I was getting the dogs. And anyway, that pup went just berserk over that fresh shed as opposed to a regular antler. And she just kept licking that edge and licking. I thought, man, this has to work because you could just watch her excitement. And that dog grew up to be a really good shed hunter. And I don't know. Like I said, that was a trick I tried. Whether that was truly working or not, I'll never know. It seemed to. So let's move forward, and I want you to explain a lot to me because things have changed since I was training shed dogs or attempting to train shed dogs. Now you talk about that you guys have scents and stuff that's manufactured, or I don't know if it's natural or manufactured. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we use bone clone shed antler training scent. That's the scent that is used in competition. So it's a clone. So it's a replica of a shed antler. So it smells like a shed antler, but it's not a natural scent. It's recreated for smelling like one. And if you actually go on the website, there's the story about bone clone. And they talk about how they actually brought a real antler to get tested. And I might not have all the details. I've read the story, but I don't exactly remember everything. Scott Kugenbecker, he's the owner of Bone Clone and RPM Retrievers. You might have seen that name around, but they brought that antler to a scientist, and then they brought a bunch of batches of that scent they were making, and the consensus was, okay, batch number whatever it is the closest you'll ever get to a shed antler, and that's the batch they've been using since. That's the story how I remember reading it. But if you go on the Bone Clone Shed Antler Training Scent website, it's all there. So it replicates a freshly shed antler. And we distribute that scent here in Canada as well. So that was one of the issues when we started training shed dogs here for competitions is we didn't have access to that stuff because it was all across the border. So that's how the business Canadian Antler Dogs got started, in order to import that scent legally into Canada and sell it here. to make it available for people. So,
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, but
Well,
it's a replicated scent of a freshly shed antler.
do you think, in your opinion, do you think using that scent is simply training a dog to find that particular scent and not really find an antler? What's your opinion? Because you
So
obviously have experience.
before having access to that scent, I've used other types of scent as well. And the dogs that I've trained just on bone clone, um, in the wild, they when they get birdie, they act the same way, whether it's a real antler or that scent in competitions. Obviously, because it's artificial and we're humans and we're buttering it all over the antler, it probably smells stronger. But dogs smell in layers, so it kind of overrides all of their scent. Whether you put it on a tennis ball or you put it on anything else, they know that's what they're looking for, and their reaction in the field to wild sheds is basically the same. So
Really?
I'm confident that it's not an issue when it comes to that.
Nice. Okay.
And the fact that we get them to use their eyes as well, they investigate all those scents. Same for moose antlers. I was grouse hunting up north once, and my dog got all birdie and put his head down. I thought he was going to flush a grouse. I almost took the safety off. I was ready for that flush, and comes back with a moose paddle, not very big, and he acted the same way as he would on a grouse or on bone clone shed antler training scent or on a whitetail antler. So I think they all smell similar, and then they really, they can tell when it's an antler. It's that wax ring, everything. They can really smell that.
Um, I think I probably know the answer to this question, but at least for the listeners who may be interested in getting into shed hunting, what's the most common breed that you see in the shed hunting world?
The most common breed would be your typical Labrador Retriever. They're a popular dog, but you see all sorts of breed, non-retriever breeds as well. There's some Hall of Fame Border Collies out there.
Wow.
The Monty. Um, I've judged that dog, and it's a Border Collie, but it hunts big and it retrieves like really, really well. There is Malinois, German Shepherds. I've judged a Dalmatian once. Pomeranians.
Yeah.
There's one of those that could barely pick up the antler, but they can do it. But Labs, Goldens, Chessies, GSPs, Poodle Pointers, any dog that you can really think of, I've seen them. Mixed breeds as well, as long as they performance list them under the UKC, they can also participate for ribbons and titles. Not for breeding, obviously. They have to be fixed to be performance listed, I believe. But there's there's all sorts of dogs that I've seen out there. The non-retriever breeds, obviously, the retrieve is the hardest part to teach. But once they get past that hurdle, they are really, really good.
Purina Pro Plan. Here at Gundog Nation, we use Purina Pro Plan for our dogs. We actually use the Sport Performance Edition, which is 30% protein and 20% fat, the beef and bison. It contains glucosamine, omega-3s for their joints. It also contains amino acids for muscles and antioxidants. And it also has probiotics. It's guaranteed to have live probiotics in each serving. There's no artificial colors or flavors. We see the difference in our dogs. We see the difference in their coat, their performance, their endurance, and also in recovery. Be sure to use Purina Pro Plan dog food. The reputation speaks for itself. There's a reason that Purina has been around for such a long time. We suggest that you use it, and we are so proud to be sponsored by Purina Dog Food. Yes, I had... you probably never heard of it until I moved to Texas. I hadn't heard of it either, but I had a blue lacy. There was a tracking dog I used for wounded game that I trained, and she could find antlers, but she wouldn't retrieve anything. She's not a retriever.
Right.
And I never could overcome that with her, but I will say, I know that it's several breeds can do it. Like you were saying, I've thought of a dog that from back home in Kentucky when I was living there. A friend of mine had a blue heeler, and every year it was just loose. Lived up on top of a mountain in Leslie County, where I'm from, And every year that dog would just bring antlers, fresh sheds, put them on the porch.
Oh,
I
wow.
thought, man, there's people who'd kill for a dog like this. And it would bring, it just constantly, and it's when they were fresh, when they were shedding it. It was so neat. No training, just natural,
Yeah.
But,
And I always say it's really, really natural for any canine to do it. I don't know if you've seen some of the videos or pictures that were circulating of coyotes and wolves carrying antlers around. They play with them. They bring them back to their den. So wolves and coyotes do it. So any canine, it's in their DNA somewhere. And they love it. I've seen dogs that, won't pick up a wing clip pigeon and then they're chasing an antler around a parking lot and they'll bring that back. So I think it depends on the dog, but it's all in them for sure.
Well, you said that about coyotes. When I was shed hunting real hardcore, I thought, I was in a real heavily populated place for deer in northern Kentucky, shed hunting. And an old timer told me, I was like, man, there should be more sheds in this. I was hunting really hard, had 2 dogs that were excellent. And he said, that's because the coyotes are getting them, and taking them. And so what you said, there's a lot of validity to that. And I believe that's happening, and then you and I both know, if you got a heavy squirrel population,
yep.
If you've got a shed, it ain't gonna last long most of the time. They'll have it chewed, gnarled down to nothing.
Yeah, and porcupines too.
Didn't know that. Okay, porcupines.
Yeah, and I've got a story from not too long ago. So, was it not the weekend that just passed? The weekend before that, it was over Eastern Ontario at my parents' house, and I went turkey hunting. I shot a bird on the Saturday, and the Monday was a cool morning. So I said, you know what? Like, I looked in a few spots here when I was on vacation earlier in April. It's starting to green up, but I'll just go for a walk with the dogs. And one of my dogs met a porcupine, so it was not a good day. He probably had about 50 quills in him. Yeah, and one actually, well, more than one, but he had maybe half dozen in his elbow, and one or maybe 2 went right through. One for sure went right through. One was broken in, so he's still limping. So I'm hoping that we got him on antibiotics. He went to the vet. They did all that, but I'm hoping he recovers fully for sure.
At my ranch, and I'm not there today. It's about 3 hours away, and it's where I'm at most of the time. But I have when porcupine breeding season is going on, it's rampant, and now I just put my dogs up, because I got tired of going to the vet, and I've had dogs with porcupines that stuck up in their gums, right, almost put their eyes out. It's just horrible, and taking those out and the antibiotics and all that stuff, it's a bad job. The dogs are in misery.
Oh yeah.
But I didn't know that about the porcupines. And, I shed hunt still a lot. I don't have any true shed dogs that I've trained to do that, but I still walk around the ranch because, I've got, I don't know if I told you that, I've got exotics, a high fence ranch in Texas. And so I've got access deer that shed at different times of the year, and all these animals that shed. So I'm out a lot doing that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That'd be a nice trip for us and the dogs and the kids. The kids would love that.
Yeah, we'll have to fix that up because yes, you would enjoy that. And even though I'm out looking all the time, I'll never find them all. There's animals I have on the ranch, I still can't find their antlers, and it kills me.
Oh yeah,
that's what keeps me going. I'm like, I'm going to find those antlers. And I had a red stag, so every year he would shed, and I would kill myself looking for those. And I've only probably 3 of them I haven't found.
Okay.
But they're easier to find too, obviously.
Right.
So tell me, let's go into the training part of it.
Yep.
I know we don't have enough time and space to go through everything that you would do, but let's start out with a started puppy. What do you look for to see that it has the drive to do this sport? And when you determine that, first tell me how you determine that, and then tell me how you start developing it.
Yeah, for sure. So first, I just want to touch on the training program as a whole. We started it just because we couldn't find anything out there to train a shed dog from like A to Z. That was like concise and specific and detailed, and also for competitions. So our way might not be the right way, but it's the way that works for us, and it has worked for dozens of dogs that we've trained. So this is our way, but there's a lot of ways to skin a cat, they say,
Yeah.
right? So there's lots of methods out there, just like the field trial guys or the HRC, AKC hunt test people. So, but with a puppy, much like any other retriever or hunt test or field trial, what I like to see is some ball drive, right? Will they chase the balled up socks or the wool balls? We've been using a wool ball, and we actually put an antler on it, like a white antler on it, to start building that visual recognition. But will they chase that around a little hallway? Will they, are they, even if they chase it around and then kind of want to keep away, I'm okay with that, because they prize that retrieve a lot. And you can train the recall, and you can train all that later on anyway. So if they have a lot of value in the retrieve and they want to keep it, I'm okay with that at the puppy stage for sure. So much like a basic gun dog program, I even recommend to follow a basic, gun dog program up to hold conditioning or whatever you're going to do with your dog. And that usually covers off that basic obedience. We do start building that antler drive early, though, with rubber antlers and all that, have them chase us around, start building that hunt command as well. Really, it's just a simple kibble in the grass and find it type of deal, so that they get rewarded and get that kibble as they're hearing the hunt command you're going to use. We use find it. It's pretty simple. And then we start building that drive, doing drills to extend the distance, build the confidence with the dog. We make it black and white. So in our community and training program, what we do is much like the field trial or hunt test is, the first retrieves is a big white antler on short grass. What I see a lot, and you see it on the forums and you see it online, is people just grab an antler, go put it in a pile of grass, and then tell their dog to find it. And the dog's like, well, I don't really know what's going on. So we like to build that confidence before we start implementing different terrain and really thick cover and all that stuff. We really want the dog to be confident. So a lot of our drills are geared towards building that confidence, working with the handler, quartering, going in and out of cover, using their eyes, using their nose, and we kind of separate them all. And then at the end, we put it all together. We do a lot of memory work as well to build some of that drive. So much like any type of retriever training, if you teach the dog beforehand, it's going to build a more confident dog in the long run, and the dog that wants to do it and wants to please you versus a dog that doesn't really know what's going on. They're not taught, and they're like, this is kind of boring. I don't really know what I'm doing right now, versus really building that drive in the dog so that they're comfortable going away from you, comfortable hunting hard. And when they do find one, they pick it up and bring it right back to you. Not especially wild shed hunting. Nothing beats turning around and seeing your dog coming back from 150 yards away with a big white or brown antler in their mouth. Like, you've done your job right. So that's what we want to train. As a judge, I see all sorts of different dog. I'm a judge in the Elite Shed Dog Series. All sorts of different types of dogs, different hunting styles. But there is a true difference between a dog that will get that podium and a dog that gets 14 minutes, 59 seconds, right? It's 15 minutes for a pass versus a dog that maybe will get under 2 minutes one day. So there's dogs that hunt independently. There's dogs that kind of stick by the handler, and then, oh, there's one, I'll pick it up and bring it back type of deal. So there is difference in dogs that can accomplish the course in fast times because they have that drive and they do want to hunt for the handler. And these dogs do really, really well wild shed hunting as well.
So the events are these tests are timed events.
They're time specific events. So in a nutshell, it's the course would be 50 yards by 100 yards. So roughly the size of a football field. It can't be on short grass. Obviously, it has to be either in a field like cornfield or a hay field, something with cover, or in the forest, right, in the bush. It could be in pine plantation, in a meadow, in an orchard, type of areas where we normally shed hunt. So within that area, there will be 6 zones. So those zones are roughly they'll roughly be 25 yards by 33 yards to make up that whole area. So within that course, there's still 6 imaginary zones. So the boundaries are marked, but those zones aren't. So they're imaginary. There will be 5 antlers. So 5 of the zones will have an antler. 1 will be blank. As the handler, you don't know where they are. You don't know which ones you're blank. So the blank's a random draw that's done by the event chairperson or judge before the event. So you head out there with your dog, walk to the line. The judge will be there normally with a antler wrangler, we'll call them, and they'll have a stopwatch. And when you're ready, you release your dog. You can go. You hunt with your dog. You can quarter your dog. You just can't handle them directly to an antler if you find one. If you find one yourself, you can maintain a distance that's in the rules from that antler. Call your dog over and get your dog to hunt the area and find the antler independently. So you can't whistle sit them and cast them right to the antler. They want to see that the dogs can do it. And then you have 15 minutes to do all that. Okay. In working class, it's 4 of the 5 antlers in 15 minutes, and they have to be retrieved to your immediate area as the handler. So very similar to started in HRC. Yeah. Okay. So once the dog will make contact with an antler, the judge will indicate that, and the handler can no longer move forward. In working, they allow a little bit of retreat to encourage that retrieve. In champion, you are planted. So if my dog picks from the last zone 100 yards away and the judge says find, then I have to remain where I am until my dog retrieves to hand. Wow. So in champion, it's to hand. And then once it's retrieved to hand, you can keep working with your dog.
So Ben, how far would, at this in the high level test, how far away have you seen a dog from a handler in a find?
And a find, so one of my dog, Badger, and other dogs that I've judged as well, but I have done a course where my dog has found and retrieved all 5 before I'm out of the first zone. So before I've done that first 33 yards, we're done. Wow. So the fastest time I believe is 1:22 that I've done with my dog for all 5 antlers within that distance. But anything under 3 minutes is extremely fast.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Are you required to stay at the upper levels? Does the distance, as far as you, the handler, being from your dog, does it increase, or do you have to stay further away from your dog, or does that change? Is that the same throughout all levels?
Yeah. So that's not regulated. You can walk with your dog as long, like however you hunt, right? Shed hunting, like some people like quartering their dogs closer. Some people don't mind their dogs hunting big. I call it hunting big, hunting the back areas first. We have a few drills we do. There's some dogs, depending on the dog's personality, that I like to train to actually run out, hunt the back, and then work their way back type of deal. So that also increases the chances of me stumbling across one in one of the first zones as well. And then once they retrieve one, they can retrieve that one immediately if I position myself downwind. So there's little tricks like that we cover in our program, and some drills we do to make the dogs a little faster, or to build confidence too. So it's fun when you're running a course and you're running under 2 minutes. It's like, whoa, what just happened? Your adrenaline's going. You're out with the dog. It's a real team sport. It's real fun for sure. And it's really fun when you go to events and the clubs try to set up different courses every year. You're not going to the same bush every year. So we have a 100-acre property where we run our test, And we try to change our courses every single year so that we even have courses. So they closed the hunting club where we have our event. So they closed the gun range and all that. And we actually have courses that we set up the night before behind the gun range, because that's usually an area that's closed to the public. So no one can train on them. It's all brand new to everyone. So we try to do that to kind of diversify all the areas that we do our tests in.
When these, okay, I assume that these courses are set up, the antlers are planted by a judge or a helper or somebody.
Correct. Yeah. So
are they the same for every dog? Like if there's 10 dogs competing, will all 10 dogs have an antler in the same location?
Yes, except for the blank. So if there's 10 dogs with different handlers, let's say, the blank will be a random draw for every handler.
You mean the blank zone that has no antler?
Yeah, the blank zone that has no antler might be the first zone for me, but the second zone for you. And one of the reasons being, I believe, I can't speak on behalf of an organization or anything like that in regards to rules, but is that I can't go tell Ken that, the blank zone was, number 6, right? So I think if they modify it for every handler being a random draw, then there's less opportunities for issues with that type of stuff. Okay. But that being said, so as a judge myself, my plants are always consistent to the point that if I'm putting that one big antler in that zone, it's always going to be that big antler in that zone. And if it's always tines up with a few leaves on it, it's always going to be tines up with a few leaves on it.
Okay.
So that's the level of detail we do to maintain that consistency, because it is a timed event. And then if you run multiple dogs, then you're going to get a plant 2. So you can, most clubs will allow 3 or 4 dogs per handlers. So let's say we run all the plant 1s, which would be you and I if we were only running one dog. Then we'll get to plant 2s. So we now need to modify the course, but keep the consistency. So we need to keep the consistency and also take in consideration residual scent from where the antler was placed before all day as well as wind and all that stuff. So, but judges do a really, really good job to maintain that consistency usually. And you can see it by once you get to know the dogs that are running the tests and all that, you can kind of look at the scoreboard at the end of the day and say, yeah, that was a very, very consistent test.
Okay.
Because there's some dogs that will run 8 to 13 minutes every time, and that's kind of their standard. And there's other dogs that are really fast. So you'll look at that scoreboard and you'll be able to tell that, yeah, it was a very consistent test. That being said, environmental conditions change. Winds can change, thermals. There's a lot of facts to consider, and there's rules in regards to that as well. I don't want to get into the weeds, but I wouldn't, if the wind's blowing this way, I wouldn't plant on the boundary, so the dog has to be out of bounds to smell it, right? So we have to be fair, and we have to take in consideration that weather can change during the day. So if you're planting right on the line, it could be unfair at some point in the day for the dog. So we like to plant a fair test that will be able to maintain that consistency through the day.
Now you're saying out of bounds. Do they have to stay inside the corridor of the field?
No, they don't, but they won't find anything outside.
Okay.
I have a one dog that I run sometimes. If I start getting on the whistle and handling too much, he's not going to do well. So okay. I've had them, I've had that dog run a 3 or 4 minute time, and half that time was run outside the course. But if I would have gotten on the whistle, we probably would have ran an 8 or 9 minute time, because he doesn't like when I tell him what to do. So it depends on the dog and depends on your type of training, which way the wind's blowing. But you're not penalized for running out of bounds. You just won't find a planted antler there.
And you're saying, I didn't realize this, so you actually get to handle the dog back in bounds.
Yeah, you can handle the dog back in bounds. Yeah.
Okay.
So some people will go and handle their dogs like quartering motion. So it depends on the style that your style, right? And how you want to hunt your dog.
If I understand correctly, then you can handle the dog anytime except when you, the handler, finds the antler first.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So other than that, you can handle the dog until you see the antler.
Yeah, you can quarter your dog back and forth and work with your dog and all that. Yeah, if you're starting to give them backs and overs, it could be questionable. It depends on the judge. Always clarify it with the judge of the day, anyways. But yeah, it really depends on your style and how. Like I, as a judge myself, I just like an HRC or any other sport, right? You know, you might tell them over for a back, and you might tell them, I don't know how you train. Yes. So I can't judge you on that, and I'm not going to give you a hard time. Okay. But if I see that you see an antler and then you're whistle sitting your dog and then casting to the antler, that kind of defeats the purpose, right?
Pretty obvious. Ben, I'm curious because I know you've seen, now that you judge this stuff, you compete in it also. Do you see breeds that are faster at hunting antlers than others?
Yeah, like general.
I would think a border collie would be super fast.
They are super fast. Border collies are fast. They have great noses. Like the dog we talked about earlier has Hall of Fame. I don't want to. Might have been the first non-retriever with Hall of Fame, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I believe Monty has multiple repeats of elite shed dogs, so wins against retriever breeds. So very, very nice dog. And I do like judging that dog. Yeah. Kelly's great. The handler as well. She's from Michigan.
So smart,
she's
aren't they? I mean,
they are.
They are. I've trained 2 cattle dogs, and I got a guy to train me to train a cattle dog. And
oh yeah,
they definitely outsmart the trainer, which probably ain't too hard with me, but they're just amazing.
And I don't know if it's because the sport is dominated by retriever breeds that I want to say labs generally are faster just because there's more labs doing it. So
yes,
if there's more of a breed doing it, I think there's more chances of them winning. So
yes,
or seeing them on the podium. So there is there's labs probably dominate the sport, I would say.
Now I've trained and owned quite a few Malinois, and I did a lot of protection dog work. I would think they would be really good at it. Are they?
They are. They are really good at it, and there's quite a few people that use Malinois. I personally don't like judging Malinois. I'm afraid I'm going to lose a hand.
Yeah.
But
you're not going to grab that antler out, right?
Yeah, we don't. The handler has to, right? Yeah. But then the handler passes it over to the judge or the antler wrangler. So I like to have the helper do the Malinois for me, or someone that's familiar with them.
You're going to wear a bite sleeve, you know.
Right. So, but no, they're great dogs, and some of the antlers that I've used in tests where I've judged Malinois, you can definitely tell the Malinois had their jaw on it for sure.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Those dogs will actually eat your furniture. They don't chew on it; they'll eat it.
They'll just eat it. Yeah. They're really good dogs.
But they're crazy smart. I mean, they're so smart, and like a border collie. That's neat. I'd like to watch. See, I've never seen other dogs. Well, I've never seen a shed competition, but I 5 years I was a hardcore shed hunter with dogs, and I never really used anything but labs. I tried with, like I told you, the Blue Lacy, but I'd love to watch these other dogs do that. I think that'd be really neat.
Yeah, and if you look up on the UKC website and you go under the Elite Shed Dog series, there's usually listings for clubs, and you can also go look at events. So our club's always welcoming of anyone that's willing to wrangle antlers for us. Yeah. And at the same time, you get to see a lot of dogs work, right? So I always recommend to people, if you can, and if you have a club that's willing to let you volunteer and tag along with the judge and wrangle the antlers for them for a few dogs at least, then you get to see a lot, and you get to see how different handlers work and all that. And it's definitely beneficial for sure.
Hello, this is Kenneth Witt, and Gundog Nation is proud to have one of their sponsors as Retriever Training Supply, based in Alabama. Retriever Training Supply offers fast shipping on quality gear. Your dog will love it. Visit retrievertrainingsupply.com to purchase gear to help you train your retriever. Listen, they have some of the best leashes I've ever found. It's stuff's made in America. Their leashes are, and they source them locally. They have anything you want, fast, friendly service, fast shipping, just good people. Retriever Training Supply. You know, Ben, you know this much better than me, but I just started AKC judging. I've only done my apprentice. I haven't officially judged yet, but just the day I apprenticed all day long, I don't know, 30 some dogs, 40 dogs, I learned more sitting in that seat about training and handling than I would have in weeks of seminars. But so I would imagine sitting in your seat judging those, you get to learn a lot, don't you? I mean,
you get to learn a lot, and you get a lot of steps too. Yeah. Planning the antlers between every dog and doing all that. And then,
I guess you'll say I don't have to do that. I just sit there like a fat guy.
You know what? I'm pretty active, and I like doing that, being on my feet and all that. And it's like, that antler goes beside that little twig that's just off place. Like it needs to go in the right spot every time. But yeah, we do learn a lot, and you learn a lot of what not to do as well. I do touch on some of that in our on trainasheddog.com on our training program. In our competitive section is common handler mistakes that I see that usually cost people either a pass or even a podium or definitely some time. So I do touch on some of that in there as well.
Well, are these competitions in every state? I mean, I know you said is it the Masters in Illinois always, correct?
Nationals has been in Illinois as far, so that was my third or fourth Nationals this year. And it's always been in Illinois, different spot in Illinois now. It was in Altamont, Illinois, at the Ballard Nature Center last year and this year. But there's events. There's a lot of events in Michigan, a lot of events Illinois, Wisconsin. It's pretty well represented, but it's not in every state, I don't believe.
Okay.
But if you go on the UKC Elite Shed Dog Series website, it's under events, and you'll see them all over there. Okay. We try to travel to as many as we can, but it gets expensive.
Yeah.
And and with the family and the dogs and everything else, it's we do less than probably we should. We probably should get out there as much as we can, but it's just not realistic.
How many dogs you have right now?
We have 4 labs. One's retired now. This was the first season we didn't wild shed hunt with her. She just turned 12. She needs a break, and she's starting to get blind and all that. And kind of, when it's your dog, it's my wife's dog, but you try to ignore that. But it's like, no, this year she's staying home and just relaxing. We have 4 right now of our own.
Do you think you'll ever try another breed in the sport yourself, or just always do labs?
I'm not sure. Like myself, I'll probably likely just always do labs. I waterfowl hunt, I upland hunt, so I goose hunt and duck hunt quite a bit. And we pheasant hunt and grouse hunt as well. And then the shed hunting part is only like 3 weeks out of the year in the wild for us. Like it's between ice fishing and turkey season. And it's the competitions that's now it's so fun, and it's so nice to get the kids out there as well. I run some dogs, my wife runs some dogs, the kids run dogs. What's nice too is the kids can take the grand champion dog or the Hall of Fame dog and go run them in youth, right? They can take any type of level dog because it's not for titles. It's just for the ribbons and nationals for scholarships. They can take any type level dog and run through a working class course. So they have a lot of fun doing it. And
I love that. I wish all the sports would have youth involvement like that. I mean, you see it in HRCs and AKCs, but what you're talking about is even more in depth with youth. I like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and there's a bunch of good ladies that run that Elite Shed Dog Series scholarship fund and really kind of take it on to get people to run fundraisers and raise money for the fund, and they do a really, really, really great job. It's great, and it's nice to see the kids just performing in that. And I've got a good story from our last shed test, our trial, or whatever you want to call it. It is a trial because we do take that top 4 there that has more points. But so my son was gifted a dog a few years ago now by Amy Kuchenbecker, Blue Clay Kennels. That dog had her Hall of Fame when it was donated to my son. So great gesture, just awesome, and it's for my son to keep running. So my son actually put a started hunting retriever title on that dog after it had his Hall of Fame from Amy there. And the dog was elite shed dog, obviously, because it had Hall of Fame, but it was one pass away from elite shed dog too. So it stayed like that a little bit. My son kept running her in youth. I ran her a little bit in champion. My wife did. Got really close to the podiums a couple times. I think my wife got the podium with her once or twice. Last test, my son said, "I want to run her in champion." And my wife said, "Sure, like it's your dog, right?" And we were kind of waiting.
How old is your son?
He was 11 at the time. He just turned 12. And it's his dog, so we were kind of waiting for that moment because we want him to kind of get more responsible and do that. And so I was leading that trial. So I was going to get my elite shed dog title that day if I would have remained in first. My son beat me. My son got the elite shed dog 2 on that Hall of Fame dog, and I was bumped to second. But you know what? I was the happiest man in the world.
I bet. Man,
it was awfully dusty in that field that day. It was something. Yeah.
Oh man, that is so cool. I love that.
Yeah. And you know what? If my dog never gets his elite shed dog title, I don't even care. Right.
Yeah.
It was just to see. So from going to just running youth and he ran in champion once before and he got like a 9-minute time to, beating me by 59 seconds. It wasn't just a, "Hey dad, I beat you." It was just a slap. Here you go, dad.
You got beat by an 11-year-old. Yes.
By 11-year-old by 59 seconds, which is a lot.
How will he top that now? I mean, heck.
Yeah. That dog's now got elite shed dog 2 and he'll get his title in the mail. And actually the ownership of that dog was transferred to my son. So the first title that he got on that dog was the Start a Hunting Retriever title in his name. Now he's going to get the elite shed dog 2 title in his name. So just the impact it's had on my dog, I can't be thankful enough for Amy and everything that she's done for us. And yeah, for my son to get that, it was like finally it clicked because it was like he's got this Hall of Fame dog. He's got to be able to run some good times, right? But he's more of a reserved kid and kind of shy a little bit, and so he's kind of coming out of his shell now.
Yeah, what a great confidence builder, right, for a child.
Oh yeah, yeah. So he got the tub of water over the head and all that. If you go on my Facebook, you can see it there. And it was a great day.
Nice.
It was a great day.
I love that. Well, you mentioned something. He said he was running HRC with that dog, and I don't know, Ben. For some reason, I had tunnel vision. Now I'm realizing, heck, these aren't just shed dogs. You guys waterfowl hunt, correct?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, so
they're hunting. They're doing this and the shed hunting both.
Yeah, we do both. Yeah, and there's a lot of crossover. So when we started the club side of things, Georgian Bay Shed Dogs here, it's actually a sister club to our Georgian Bay HRC club. So we got, I attended a HRC meeting and said, "Hey, like, what do you guys think about the shed dog stuff?" And I'm really interested in it. There's nothing in Canada. I'm going to the States to try it out. I went to the States, tried it out. I said, "Guys, we've got to have that here." And we created Georgian Bay Shed Dogs as part of our HRC club. It's a sister club to it. So we've seen a lot of crossover and a lot of people that, this is great. Right? We're in Canada. Like we can't do swim by in April. So we might as well shed hunt and do all that stuff. So, it's a nice, it complements our club. It's good to raise money for the HRC club as well. Just being sister clubs, we kind of share bank accounts and all that. So, either way, so it works really, really, really well for that. And then we get more kids involved. We get more people involved that, now we've got people that came in for the shed portion have no interest in the waterfowl hunting, but now they're helping load the wingers and they're helping do this, right? Because they're like, I don't want to run my dog in there, but I'll help out. Or they're running the potluck, or they're helping with the food. So we see a lot of crossover, and it's just a giant big family. It's really great to see, for sure. But yeah, we do both. I waterfowl hunt primarily with my dog, and then the shed dog stuff is just on the side and for fun. So yeah, we're having a lot of fun with it, for sure.
I like that. I like dual purpose use or multi-purpose use your dog.
Yeah.
Logistical question. When you guys are coming over the States competing, because I'll probably go up to Canada and hunt this year, and I definitely want to take my dogs. Is it difficult now these days to cross over and back with your dogs? What do you have to do?
Last time I was through was in March for nationals. And it wasn't bad to cross. We need passports from our side to go and then to come back. And then we need to do the form for the CDC, like for our dogs to cross and have our up-to-date vaccines. There's rules around dog food as well. Yeah, it has to be sealed and it can't contain lamb, I believe, things like that. So normally what we do, we just cross without food and then just buy food across, just to simplify it. But there's rules in regards to dog food. Coming back into Canada, they normally don't ask us a lot of questions just because we are Canadian. They usually just want to make sure they are our dogs and we didn't just go buy them and bring them back. So they look at vaccination and all that. But I'm not sure what it would take for you to come back. I think it would be pretty similar to that as well.
I wonder if they would have that dog food requirement on the Canadian side of me if I were coming into Canada.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they do or not. Yeah. The Canadian Border Services Agency would be the ones to call to Google and see if there's rules in regards to that. And it's mainly regulated from the Ministry of Agriculture or Foods or just to make sure that. Yeah, I'm not quite sure of the purpose, but I know they do control what kind of foods you can bring in.
I just thought about something. I actually crossed into Ontario to stand at Niagara Falls in 2012, and I had a Rottweiler. It was a protection dog I was working with at the time, and it was really easy, and they were so nice. Like the Canadian side, they let me cross. I may have shown a rabies certificate or something. I can't remember, but I couldn't believe it was that easy. And when I came back, they didn't even check my dog. I had a dog box. I'm old school hunting guy back then and had the old aluminum coon dog box in the back, for my Rottweiler. But it was real simple. And I just didn't know if that had changed a whole lot, but that's good to know.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, but that's funny you say that because I used to live in near Niagara Falls, Ontario. In 2012, that's where I lived until 2016. I lived about 20 minutes from Niagara Falls proper. I was in Font Hill area. In Niagara region. So that's quite funny. But I used to cross over a lot then because our dollar was actually close to par. So I would do a lot of my shopping at Walmart in Buffalo.
Oh, yeah.
So things were a little cheaper, but it's a little different now for sure.
Yeah.
But I do have a mailbox now in Niagara Falls, New York. I'm about 2.5 hours away. But for business stuff, that's usually where I go pick up my stuff and I do all my importation paperwork and then cross it through the commercial side back into Canada. So,
Ben, tell all of our listeners, if they want to get involved into the antler hunting world, where do they go first? What resource would you advise them to check out first?
Well, I would say ours, but
that's okay. It's how they find your training program.
Yeah, so it's fairly simple. Trainasheddog.com is our website. And we wanted to make something that's really, really affordable and really simple. So I'm the type of guy that likes to see those sequential short videos. You don't have to watch a 3-hour video on healing to learn to shed hunt, right? So we've got those videos in sections. So we've got our shed dog guide and drills. That's our main one. I believe there's 31 lessons in there right now. And then we have our competitive shed dog training and drills as well. So it's all drills that we do to in preparation for trials. So we help the handler and the dogs get ready for trials. So we try to coach the handlers as well. And the ways that the videos are laid out, it's basically a short written explanation of what you're going to need, what you're going to be doing. And then once you get into the video again, I explain it with visual aids. So maybe a diagram on a board. And I explain the purpose, and then I demonstrate it with a dog or multiple dogs. So every video is kind of laid out like that. And our community also gives you access to a private community forum on the same platform. So when you're logged in, you can go check out the products and the videos, or you can log in, or you can just click on the community and go ask questions. And I've been doing regular, so every month or 2 months, I've been doing a live Zoom call as well. So members can call in when I'm logged on, and we all share ideas. We talk. If they have questions, we kind of just like you and I right now, we just talk, and then I record them and I leave them in the program as well. So people can go watch them later on.
I figured out now why you have that good microphone and headphones. You do this all the time with Zoom calls and stuff. Training.
I try to. Yeah.
Okay.
I try to. So we do the live community Zoom calls, which I think is great, and they'll always be there because I record them. So if you join, let's say next week, you can go see the call we had in April or the call we had in February. So people can go listen to it kind of like a podcast, or just go watch it if they want to. So we try to, I think our program is a really good bang for the buck. No pun intended, but we wanted to make it affordable, and really we're not making a pile of money off of it. We kind of just try to keep it running and make it available for people. Our main challenges was there's nothing out there to prepare for shed dog trials. There was nothing when we were trying to get ready, and we wanted something simple that people can do it. And I think there's some guys that kind of give us a hard time, and they say, well, dogs could just do it. But that's the same guys that say the labs can just duck hunt, and they're throwing rocks for their dogs to go get that bird, right? So you can have a regular shed dog, or you can have a dog that's confident, reliable, and that will hunt for you and hunt out and all that. So I think you can have just a regular dog, or you can train your dog like any other type of hunting. You always hear it, right? Oh, well, my lab, I never trained it a day and he retrieved 100 ducks in his career, right? Well, that's nothing. Same guys that are throwing rocks for their dogs. So
that's there's the pros and cons of social media and all that stuff. And as much as people you'll get that like you'll end up getting as many haters, I guess. I don't want to know how many people hate me. I don't want to ask, but it's just part of it. But yeah, you're right. A lot of cynics, a lot of armchair trainers and stuff.
For sure. And it's the way we do it, and it's for the do-it-yourselfers, right? We don't try to take away from trainers or take away from other people that are training dogs. We just want to help people train their own. And that's the purpose behind it. So it's for the people that want to do it themselves, because a lot of people, myself included, when I get a dog, or when I got a dog in the past, I say, I want to train it myself. And that's just a tool to help train your dog yourself. Yeah. So some people will always go to trainers. Some people will always go and try to do it themselves. That's right. So that's what we want to provide, that service. And that's why we're doing the live Zoom calls too, so we can discuss. And I like to hear feedback. What's going well? What would you like to see in the program? Like, I'm not a movie producer, right? So, but I'm getting really, really good feedback that the videos are laid out very well, and people are finding successes. I had one person that was started implementing some of our competitive drills, and he went from being, passing in champion class to hitting podiums, and now being one win away from their elite shed dog title too. So they're doing those drills and finding success. So I like to see success in our community members. That's what I want. So I want people to be successful. There's no secret. I don't care if I get beat by the people that I gave my drill away to. Like, we got to kind of get away from this world, and it's no different than hunt testing is not a trial, so it's not as bad, but there's a lot of good trainers that are sharing awesome information. They compete in field trials and they train dog for field trials, and field trials is very, very competitive.
Yes.
And I listen to all those trainers as well. I really like to keep in the loop and see all the success from all the trainers and all the programs out there. And it's really nice to see. So yeah, trainasheddog.com. That's where all our stuff is. And we wrote a blog just last week kind of describing our program as well. Some people had a lot of questions. So we kind of broke it down as to what you're going to get for your membership. And we have it set up as a yearly membership right now. And just for the American friends, all my American friends or American listeners of yours, is the price that you'll see is in Canadian dollars. So it'll convert it on your credit card or whatever, and it'll be way less. So because of dollars. Okay, yeah. So, get in touch with us if you have any questions. We're mostly active on Instagram at Canadian Antler Dogs. Is where we're at. Give us a follow, and I'll give you a code as well. I'll generate a code for your listeners. I don't know if you have the ability to post in the comments, but for $30 off our membership for anyone that's interested. So
yes, as a matter of fact, I've got a website now, and we've kind of made it more advanced, and I can maybe do it through there, or we're getting ready to start. And for my listeners, we're building up this email list. So if you've been submitting, if you're signing up for our email list, don't feel like I've deserted you, even though we haven't done anything with it yet. We're trying to get that all up and running, hopefully within the next 2 weeks. And we'll send out like announcements, like when your podcast goes live, Ben, we'll let our listeners know via email.
Okay.
And then if there's codes, we can email codes to our listeners. We'll have it on our websites. We can do stuff like that.
And we're always happy to answer any questions too. If any of your listeners have questions in regards to shed dog training, shed dog trials, more than happy to help.
Okay. Well, hey, I love it. It's you might get me fired back up. I have been into shed hunting about 3 or 4 years, and now I'm into all this retriever hunt test stuff. And oh man, that's some, I've fooled with dogs for a long time. That it's complicated. When you get that advanced training, I'm getting people to train me right now so I can train my dogs. But I use online stuff. I use Cornerstone. I use all the I use tools that I can find, and they're all great. But it's a challenge
for sure.
We're always learning, right? If you're training dogs, you're always learning.
Always. I'm always listening to podcasts. I listen to Good Dog Nation. I listen to a lot of different podcasts and trying to expand that knowledge. So
I listen to so many podcasts and I listen to pro trainers, and I try to get most of them on my own podcast so I can, that's, my podcast is to get people like you, people that have experience, that not only I can learn from, but my listeners learn from. And I think that's why I love doing this show is I feel like a listener, right? I might guide the questions, but I'm learning from you.
I appreciate that. And I learned from you, like that shed and that bag trick. Like I'm going to try that for sure, because that just makes sense.
Well, and it was a fresh scent. And I thought, oh man, this thing's going to have a really good, strong scent, I would think. And I was lucky enough to catch sheds like that twice. And I'll tell you a little tidbit of and that maybe it's just coincidence, but that same pup, that was in the spring. Later in the fall, she found a spike.
Oh yeah. Awesome.
A spike. And in Kentucky, we're full of oak trees. There's leaves this deep.
Yeah.
Here she come running with that in her mouth. I couldn't know what it was. I thought it was a bone, and it was a deer spike. I thought, wow, this dog can find that. I could not believe it. I probably got pictures of that somewhere, but yeah.
Yeah. I love it when my dog brings a spike. Like I've posted pictures before, or like little freaking nubs. And I posted pictures before, and people are laughing. Oh, what a shed dog! Yeah, what a shed dog! Because if they can find those, they'll
it's
find
not
anything.
Trophy, but that's way hard to find than a big, 20 point, 15 point, whatever deer. But yeah,
to me, that's the biggest trophy. If they're able to key in on that scent and then recognize and pick it up. I had that this spring with just a little nub, and I thought my dog was chewing a bone on his way back because I can hear the teeth. And then he got close, and I could see his stick out. I'm like, it's an antler. And I threw it. I threw it. I always throw wild antlers as a fun retrieve. Like if my dog brings me a wild antler, I throw it as a fun retrieve. And I picked up that one and just out of reflex, I threw it for the dog. And I'm like, oh, is he going to find it again? Right? Because it was so small, and he did. Oh, wow. But
yeah, and just thinking what I did it that day, I had a farm up in Frankfort, Kentucky, and I just got out, dropped the tailgate, let the dogs out, and I was fiddling around with something in the truck. I hadn't given a command of any kind. She took off in the woods, and in probably 10 minutes most came back with that spike, and she wasn't even.
That's awesome.
She was about 8 months old.
No,
anyway,
awesome.
I love it. You might get me fired back up to antler hunt, But
well, and I think there's a club in Texas.
Can do it.
I think there's a club in Texas because I believe there is.
Well, that's the other thing. When I get off here, I'm going to start looking that up now because I want to attend a competition.
Well, one thing too is it's fairly inexpensive, right? To train a dog, you need a few antlers, you need some scent, which is fairly cheap, and then even test. We don't have to buy ducks. We don't have to pay bird technicians. So you're not looking at $85 for a test. You're looking at $35 to run a test. So you're saving quite a bit there as well.
You and I both know that retriever training equipment's expensive. I mean, those launchers, all that stuff's expensive.
The wingers, the electronics.
About that part of it. I forgot how lucky I used to have it with just doing sheds. See, I used to just do sheds only. 4 or 5 years, it's the only kind of, training I did. So.
Yeah, well, I think if you do one trial or you go to a trial and then you do one with your dog, I think you'd be hooked.
Sure. I just started hunt testing this year.
Right.
Well, I did a fetch test last year with a pup at AKC.
Okay.
But and did well. But yeah, man, I've got it bad. Now, matter of fact, this hunt season in Texas, hunt test is over now.
Okay.
Because it's so hot. And I was thinking this Sunday, I was driving back home and I was like, what am I going to do? Every weekend I've been going to a hunt test.
Yeah.
And I made a lot of friends and meeting a lot of good people. And I thought, man, I've got to, what am I going to do all summer? But I'll have to train, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah, training is always fun. We don't participate in any shed tests in the summer, even up here. It just hunt tests are going on. That's fine. But I don't want to put, my dog don't like doing it in the heat. Like when it's real hot, they don't like doing it, especially a test. And we always have struggles when we come from, minus 20 degree weather here and drive to Illinois where they're cutting grass for nationals. Our dogs hate it every year. They don't like it. But we do it for the fun and seeing all our shed dog family and all our friends and getting the kids to run in the youth category as well. It's awesome.
It's a great atmosphere for people out there listening that has never been to a hunt test, whether it's shed hunting, retriever hunt test, whatever. It's really fun. It's a great family event, and it's a great way to meet people that share the same interest. I love it. I've just started doing it, and I'm hooked. And now I'm going to go check out some shed tests.
Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate that.
Well, Ben, it's been a pleasure having you on here. We've been trying to get scheduled. You and I are both so busy, and the time, it's not a big time change, but with your schedule and mine, it's been crazy, and I apologize for it taking so long because I've been looking forward to this for obvious reasons. But thank you so much again, Canadian antler hunting,
Canadian antler dogs,
Canadian antler dogs. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
Just search Ben up, and I do follow you on Instagram. So and I'll keep watching, see what you're doing. But anyway, Ben, thank you so much. And look forward to maybe getting to meet you in person in the future.
I appreciate that. And likewise, thank you.
You're welcome. When you're getting ready to go on your next hunting trip, make sure you pack the most efficient and reliable ammunition on the market. Migra Ammunition brings you the most diverse loads on the market. Migra's patented stacked load technology is the epitome of efficiency. 2 shot sizes stacked together to create the most diverse and efficient line of shot shells in the industry. It doesn't matter what flyway, what state, or what the weather, the standard remains the same. At Migra, reliable loads that perform in any condition every single time. We're proud to have Migra Ammunition as a sponsor for Gundog Nation.